tiny 1/2 inch long insect that we depend on for 1 out of every 3 bites of our food. Hi, my name is Paul Exley, and the recession which I've just referred to revolves around our most efficient pollinator, the European honeybee. As the name implies, it was imported from Europe many years ago. Then again, most of us were imported from Europe. This small but incredibly significant insect that plays a huge role in all of our lives is now encountering very serious problems that have to be corrected soon, before it is too late. I would like to show you how the honeybee is a significant player in our agriculture and economy, how a perfect storm of problems are responsible for the recession, and finally show some solutions that we can apply to help conserve this valuable natural resource. The significance of the honeybee is something that you may have heard vague statements about, but I want to clarify the full extent to which they impact our lives. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, 80% of the fruits and vegetables we eat are directly pollinated by honeybees. A simple example of this, which I'm sure all the coffee drinkers will appreciate, is the coffee bean. Coffee plants pollinated by honeybees have a 58% increase in production, as well as having larger, healthier beans, compared to coffee plants pollinated by other insects. Dr. Tom Sanford, a specialist in apiculture, the study of bees, states that over 90 commercial crops are directly pollinated by honeybees in the United States. That value is over $18 billion. According to the USDA, the income from agriculture this past year was $100 billion. So honeybees are responsible for 1/5 of the money that results from agricultural production. How about ice cream? Yes, ice cream. Honeybees are directly responsible for the production of this popular and most favorite treat. According to apiary inspector Jerry Hayes, about 50,000 colonies of honeybees are used to pollinate alfalfa. This alfalfa is then fed to the dairy cows that produce the milk that makes the ice cream. We are all linked. If the link is weak, we all suffer. Not so long ago in the 1980s, apple and pear growers in Sichuan, China lost all their honeybees due to pesticide overuse. Their orchards are now pollinated by the human hand with an estimated additional cost of $92 billion. Without honeybees, the prices on fruits, vegetables, and other commodities, including Starbucks and Bluebell, would skyrocket, and this would affect all of our lives. Therefore, we should be concerned when we hear statements like this one from Keith Delaplane, an entomologist from the University of Georgia. While the honeybee numbers have been steadily falling since the 1940s, the population has been dropping 30% a year for the past 3 years. What was already a bad trend has gotten much worse. It's pretty serious for our agriculture and natural environmental pollination. In 2007, losses in Texas and on some parts of the East Coast exceeded 70%, while on the West Coast, losses ranged from 30 to 60%. Delaplane mentions that these losses are economically unsustainable for any agricultural producer, whether beekeeper or cattleman. There is much concern regarding these helpful little insects, concern about many things that would be devastating to lose. Today's intensive monoculture farming methods have eliminated the pollen diversity required for healthy bees and only supply pollen for a short time of the year, which leaves no food for the rest of the year. Just as farmers learn that rotating crops is beneficial to production, we must also learn other farming methods rather than conventional agriculture methods if we want to keep our pollinators healthy. So, why are our honeybees dying at such an alarming rate? According to Dennis Van Ingelsdorp at Penn State University, the top research center for bees, among all the causes listed for hive deaths in 2010, starvation was still number 1. The increase in the production of corn, wheat, and other grains has contributed to this since bees do not pollinate them. The monocultures that I mentioned earlier are also very prominent in our ever-growing towns and cities, since all they grow are nice, green, grassy deserts. Lawn grass covers 3 times more acreage than corn, which is America's largest agricultural crop, making turf grass America's largest irrigated crop. The 60 million lawns, 700,000 athletic fields, and 16,000 golf courses in our country are all green, grassy deserts. The lawns alone, sewn together, would cover almost all of New England. Bees need food and a variety of forage to stay healthy. Without it, they will become just like the rotary telephone, a memory. Starvation is not the only thing that kills bees. They must also deal with a perfect storm of diseases, parasites, and pesticides which further decimate starving hives. The majority of honeybee diseases are able to invade beehives when they are weak from a lack of food. 2 years ago, one of my beehives was infected by at least 2 diseases and 2 different types of pests or parasites. A healthy hive would have been able to keep these problems in check. In order to prevent the spreading of disease and a possible epidemic, we had to completely burn the hive with all of the bees in it. At the beginning of last year, my older brother and I had 18 beehives in several different locations. By this January, we had only 7 left. Part of this is due to the population of our city tripling over the past 10 years, along with the urbanization that accompanies that, as well as road expansion and repair crews planting only grass instead of native plants or wildflowers. So, what can you do to help? There are several things that can be done on both the personal and state or federal levels. On the personal level, you can plant native wildflower or grass mixes in your yard rather than thirsty imported St. Augustine or invasive Bermuda. A personal side benefit is this will help conserve our valuable water resources and save money and time. Unless, of course, your favorite pastime is mowing. If you're someone who owns some property and grows hay, you can try swapping to grow alfalfa or look into growing sweet clover, which is a nectar or honey source and can be used as cattle feed or hay. Regarding chemicals, pesticide testing should be done by an independent, unbiased, private board of companies. And finally, we can support state legislation that promotes good stewardship of our resources and keeps the freedom to use it in our hands. One of the steps I've taken in this direction was to write a letter to a member of the Texas House of Representatives presenting these problems and offering a simple, efficient, money and time-saving solution. We cannot afford to let this recession continue and lose this valuable natural resource. Join me in working to conserve and protect this significant insect, our environment, and your morning mocha. How willing are you to give up your coffee?